Just took the best nap of my life and now ready for a 2025 fantasy football draft. We have some news. Some things broke over the weekend that we will have to talk about. And because we're going to be talking about a bunch of random crap right now, I do think that we should probably hop in a Schnauzer. We did not stream this weekend, but still feel really good. We've been getting in some slow underdog drafts on the side. So I would like a warm up, even if we don't necessarily feel it. And again, this $3 buy-in is probably the best spot to get in some practice / warm up, etc., etc., etc. And I'm going to have to wake up, period. I was literally napping 15 minutes ago, and God, I feel good because of it. But thank you for everybody joining this stream with us, ladies and gentlemen. Let me figure out how I can pull up your chats right now. But if anybody wants to get in here, this is the $3 buy-in 20-second timer. No, it took a little bit of time for this to fill, but let's throw that there. And we have pick one. So with pick one, we're going to keep it stupid simple. We're going to take Ja'Marr Chase. Dude did everything he could to try to win me the Flock League this past season. And overall, I would say that it's a very comfortable build, knowing that there are pretty exciting running backs that we can take at the 2-3 turn as well. But Jose, welcome to being a member of the Flock, my friend. I did update the membership for YouTube to be much, much lower than it was, mainly because it doesn't really give you anything. It's not like flockfantasy.com, but it is going to help you out to show that you're in these streams all the time. So we'll talk about the ETR thing as well. So Nathaniel in here at 7, Josh in here at 9, first draft with us. Happy to have you, my friend. We are in the draft that is a $3 buy-in, the Schnauzer. But let's go ahead. Let's take Mr. Ja'Marr Chase, and then let's see what makes it back to us at the 2-3 turn. But I'm expecting to at least have a running back that we like there available to us at 24, and we are able to have some flexibility with this, of course. Graham in this draft with us at 12. We got Ken in here at 8. The long time member of the Flock in here as well. Okay. Somebody takes Shedeur Sanders at 3. So here's what we're going to do. Whenever there's a draft like this, that clearly somebody goes in and trolls, what happens, because it's an overall tournament, is Underdog can't afford to let this draft ruin the draft integrity overall. So what's going to happen is Underdog, their little AI system, will figure this out. They'll throw out the draft. They're going to refund everybody in it. So we are actually going to leave this draft, and we are going to be getting into a new Schnauzer draft, and I'm sure that person's going to get banned from Underdog. So we are getting in a new one here. This is the $3 20-second Schnauzer, just in case you wanted to get in. But yeah, there's no reason to go through and continue that draft, just because, again, it's going to get thrown out. Underdog's going to ban the guy, and we are not going to really have any reason to draft the team that we know is just going to get refunded anyway. So let's move that out. Wasting a number 1 pick for us, but we get a number 2 pick here anyway. So I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Number 2 pick, number 1 pick, tomato. Maybe a little bit of a different build where instead of starting wide receivers, we are going to be starting with a running back here. But yes, well, we're going to take Shedeur Sanders now ourselves. But yeah, he knows something we don't. We got Heath Beef in with us at pick 3. Appreciate you, my friend. Graham in the draft again with us. I'm sorry that you had to back out of that first one, but in here at 9. Marshall wanted to get in the first time, but in with us at 8 this one. But let's go. Yeah, I'm sorry, Nathaniel. And again, of course, if any of y'all want to make sure that y'all can get into drafts with us at the beginning of these live streams, just make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can get in. But Dylan, will probably have our quarterback rankings dropping this week. And Shedeur Sanders will sadly not be the QB1. We'll throw Barkley in here at the 2nd spot overall. With Mr. Saquon Barkley, to be realistic about things, I think it's very difficult to just come through and guarantee that you get a running back 1 finish by any stretch of the imagination, but it is difficult to not take him considering the season that we had last year. It's not like we have a ridiculous amount of turnover with this Eagles offense. They're pretty much just bringing the whole gang back. And ignore the rankings when I bring up flockfantasy.com because this is set on Dynasty. So obviously Dynasty is going to be a little bit different. But if we look at what Barkley gave you last year, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 separate top 10 running back weeks. The main drop-off that you had going from New York to Philadelphia is you did see the receiving volume fall dramatically. He only had an 11.5% team target share, which does mark a career low. But overall, 2,000 rushing yards, extremely good offense, ton of touchdown upside. So it is hard not to be just very in on Barkley, of course. Okay, but let's move this over. And of course, not only subscribe to the channel, hit the bell if you wanted to get in these streams with us, but also if you wanted to get in a draft with us or just draft public lobby whenever you want. These are underdog drafts, so they're best ball. There's no time commitment at all during the season. So we draft hundreds of teams every year. That's how I still focus in on my main fantasy football team I care most about during the season. So this is just extra added fun, right? And I would say that if you were considering getting on Underdog, now's probably the best time because I would highly recommend you do the $3 drafts. Not only do you do the $3 drafts, but do the 30-second timers. I think that's going to be the best for the beginner. But if you use promo code FLOCK with the link in the live chat or the link in the description, you'll be getting a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll get my 2025 fantasy football rankings, plus a draft guide cheat sheet. And Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can go ahead and you can see the map right here to check if Underdog is available in your state. But let's move this over. We'll talk about the drafting stuff in a second. Dan, we are going to... I will probably this week as well get the rankings tab up to date for the best ball tab on the site. Let me move this over. I don't know if we want to go with McBride here. The thing is, if you're looking at the yeah, because I'm not going to go running back. I'm not going to go RB, and if we're looking at the tier wide receivers, there are just so many guys that are similar to us that I honestly don't care who we get back between Higgins, Wilson, and Harrison. So the guy that we end up getting is T. Higgins. This is going to create a little fun back and forth with that team at 1 in deciding, do we need to take Burrow? Do we pass on Burrow? Obviously, a lot will come down to who's available to us at pick 47, pick 50. But we'll take Higgins here. So let's move this over. So I know people were asking about the drafting tools. So this was like a big Twitter convo, and I would, general rule of advice, the least amount of time you spend on Twitter, I think the better your life is. It's mainly advice for myself. I need to get off Twitter even more than I am. But ETR launched some like drafting tools. Here's my big take on them. So what ruins DFS, and of course, I'm an idiot. I'm a guy who has gotten lucky and has won a bunch of money on Underdog because I'm lucky, right? That's who I am. Here's my take on the difference between Underdog and DFS, like DraftKings, FanDuel, where you're submitting lineups. DFS, in my opinion, got ruined because it can essentially be done with computer systems, projections, where somebody can go through with the bankroll and get $10,000 down on an NFL weekend to go up against a bunch of people. And if your projections were better, you're going to make a ton of money. And you can mass enter these massive sweeps of lineups on DraftKings, FanDuel, etc., etc. If we are going to be honest, and I've explained this to a bunch of people in real life that I've had conversations with about Underdog and why I specifically love Underdog. Those sharps that can get $10,000 down on a Sunday morning, that can play at the highest stakes of DFS, that are going to use every little piece of tool that they have at their disposal, because if you can get $10,000 down on a Sunday morning in one morning and have a 10% ROI, then cool, you made $1,000 that Sunday. The thing with these underdog drafts, in my opinion, and of course, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you have to worry about that. The reason being is, how long do these drafts take? This draft's taking 40 minutes, 30 minutes. So just say 30 minutes. It's a 30-minute draft to get $3 down, where your $3 is going to be tied up through the course of the entire season. So the people pretending like they are going to create some tool, use some tool to all of a sudden master and make best ball extremely profitable, and it's going to get ruined the same way that DFS did. I don't see how that happens, just because I don't think you can get enough dollars down in the time period where it really requires. Like, how many of just think about it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and I think if you hear any of these people on YouTube pretending like they are the best DFS players in the entire world and blah, 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 they're probably lying to you. And if I was sitting here and pretending that I'm the best DFS player in the entire world, and I or anybody else is going to be able to make this algorithm to beat the game, why would I do it in a tournament that cost a $3 entry, where I have to spend 30 minutes to tie up $3 for 8 months? So I think because again, DFS, the money is tied up for one day. These underdog tournaments, that's not the case. The money's tied up for the entire season. So I think anybody pretending that they're doing these underdog drafts because it's going to make them rich and they are going to have a significant edge over the rest of the field, I think you just have to realize the people that are doing underdog drafts are very different than the people that are putting $10,000 on DraftKings every Sunday morning. So I'm not nearly as worried about it, just because I don't think there's the same incentive and there's the same capability here with underdog tournaments. I think the vast majority of people that are drafting underdog teams, including myself, and I would say almost anybody doing it, looking at the structure, especially if you're in these $3 tournaments where you're going to lock up $3 through the course of the entire year, we all have to realize we're doing this for fun. I'm doing this because I think it's a lot of fun. Not because I think I'm going to, obviously, I'm one of the very few people who's gotten very lucky and has made a ton of money off of it. I've won 2 tournaments. I've gotten 16th place in Best Ball Mania. But did I ever think that all of a sudden I'd be able to quit YouTube because I mastered the perfect strategy to win hundreds of thousands of dollars on Underdog every year? No, of course not. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned with the best ball tools, just because, again, the nature of having to tie up money for an entire season, I think, does not interest the same type of crowd that's getting $10,000 down every Sunday morning on DraftKings or FanDuel. I think the people drafting on Underdog, including myself, are doing it because it's a ton of fun. So that's my opinion on it. But of course, see, daily drafts may be different. I don't do the daily drafts. So like Underdog has daily drafts, right, that are a lot more in line with DFS. We're going to do Deebo Samuel. I know Blaze King, which may be Matthew here at 1. I'm not exactly sure. Is probably pissed that we're taking Deebo from the Daniels team, but when our first wide receiver is taken in round 3, we are still kind of playing catch up at wide receiver through the rest of this draft. But the daily drafts on Underdog may be very different. I don't exactly know. Because again, with those daily drafts, if you can get down a significant amount of money that will play out on a daily slate, I could see that like appealing to the crowd that gets down, because that's what you have to avoid if you don't want the games to, in my opinion, get bad, is the crowd that wants to get down $10,000 every Sunday morning to submit DK or FanDuel lineups. I could see like the daily drafts on Underdog if there's enough volume there, which I just frankly don't know. I could see them attracting that crowd. But the season-long best ball, like, you don't need to be I don't think you need to be worried in the $3 Chihuahua in May that you're drafting against AI bots. Like, if somebody somehow, which they did not, created a bot to win drafts to tie up $3 on May 12th to get paid out in January. If they were that good at creating bots, they would be doing anything else. But let's move this over. So all in all, my big take on it is I don't think the tools matter much. I don't think they're very effective. I think that they're almost for a different game, to be honest. And yes, JT needs us. If we were not drafting teams here, Jonathan Taylor would be going in round 7. We all know that. I know people have made fun of us for drafting Jonathan Taylor for years now. And Jonathan Taylor last year almost proved y'all wrong. Well, he would have if I had Jonathan Taylor on any of my playoff teams. But let's move this over. So overall, obviously, once we go with Barkley, McBride, we are playing catch up at wide receiver. So we decided to take 5 wide receivers straight. We decided to go Higgins, Smith, Sutton, Debo, Jennings. If you look at some of these receivers that we took over the past few rounds, such as Sutton and Jennings, we are kind of setting ourselves up with some of these quarterbacks later. And it looks like we are all of a sudden getting some player blurbs here. So it doesn't look like these are relevant player blurbs by any stretch of the imagination, but they may be fun to look at. And freaking Kyler goes to the Harrison team, which is a little bit annoying here. We will take Egbuka at 95 as our 6th receiver, just continuing to play catch up at wide receiver. This may be something that I am like, there's no reason for me to even talk about, no reason to think about. We're going to take Bo Nix to pair him up with Cortland Sutton. A big reason we take Sutton where we did is so we have this Bo Nix optionality in the beginning of the 9th round. But when it comes to Scattaboo, I was legit looking at the video of him from rookie minicamp thinking, do we really want to be drafting this guy? And of course, I will say real quick, never be drafting off a video you see on Twitter, right or wrong, right? But this looked pretty damn funny. Let me pull up how tiny this guy looked. Look at this. This is who we want to be drafting right here. Now, beyond Twitter videos, I will say, great receiving back in college. In college, he had the size to be a 3-down player. Obviously, his paper looks a lot better for his size than what he looked like in a video on Twitter. So definitely ignore the Twitter video. But I did see that, and I was like, oh. Doesn't make me super excited to draft him. But you pull it up, it's like 5'10", 219 pounds. So it's like the size you would want from a 3-down player, of course. Big Study says that video can be real. It's real. It's real. John, I promise you I'll get you to be a mod. The issue is, so like, if you see how we have this chat pulled out, it's called like a pop-up chat. I can try. But yeah, the little 3 thing, it doesn't let me make people mods. So I just have to do it one day when the chat's not pulled out like this. Okay, let's move this over. Shaheed off 115. Loveland goes 116. Looking at quarterbacks that are going to be available to us here, we don't have any Lions for Goff, and of course, Goff doesn't have a ton of rushing upside, so typically we are going to want to make sure that if we are taking him, it's in a spot where we have a Lion. I really don't like the Marvin Mims price tag, primarily because I'm afraid that this is a good example of a player we are just overdrafting as a community because he had a good week 17 and won a bunch of people a lot of money. Beyond that, I really don't know if we want to be taking Tootin. Like, the Tootin pick only works out if ETN's a literal 0. Which may be the case. We'll take Tootin. Great athletic profile, which is the main benefit that you were going to have, or the main reason that you'd find yourself drafting him. My hesitation with drafting him at 122 is if Bigsby's and Etienne are both on the roster come week 1, which Bigsby most likely is. It just comes down to, like, does Etienne get dealt? Did we just draft a third string running back at pick 122? Like, in that case, I'd rather have Rachaad White, legitimately. But you can make an argument. You have the athletic profile. You have some receiving upside. Maybe the offense is better. Maybe he's this year's Bucky Irving. Blah, blah, blah. Coaching staff. And again, going back to Marvin Mims, why I may hate this pick is, again, looking at week 18. We already talked about this previously. This was against every Chiefs backup player. So week 18 doesn't matter at all. It wasn't a real football game. And if we look at everything else here, this dude did nothing except a 30-point bomb in week 17. Won people a bunch of money. And now all of a sudden, we are taking him at the end of the 11th round. He played 41% of the snaps last year. I'm sorry. He played 27% of the snaps last year. He played 41% of the snaps as a rookie. The efficiency was amazing. 2.85 yards per route run. But he had a 9.7% team target share. He only ran 176 routes. So I don't feel great about either one of those picks. I will absolutely never take Marvin Mims there unless we have Bo Nix, but we are the team with Bo Nix. So we'll see how this plays out, but again, based off the early start of our draft, we are pretty much just playing catch up at wide receiver, which I think we did a good job of. I don't know if we can say that we 100% caught up at the position, but much, much better than we had been. Loop says, I'm waiting on Tootin. If ETN gets dealt, I don't think Tootin's price will go up that far, but if he stays, it's a wasted pick. I would agree with the latter. We're going to take Trey Benson 143. Benson could very easily be a better pick than Tootin. Like, I'm confident Benson's the running back 2 in Arizona at this point. Oh my gosh. Tyler Shuck, I believe his name is. I can't even pronounce the dude's name. 144. Ahead of McCarthy? What are we doing here? Question now is, what am I doing here? I'd rather have Pitts over Likely. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We're going to take Kyle Pitts as our second tight end in round 13. Again, we really didn't draft Pitts last year, but I'm fine with the price tag this year. It is much, much cheaper. But so, yeah, let me go back to the Tootin thing. Like, if this running back room stays the same, and it's the same in August that it is right now, Tootin will be much cheaper than this. Tootin may be going in round 16. So again, that's why I think it feels like such a bad pick when we take him round 11 here. But if ETN does get dealt, like if this running back room is just Tootin and Bigsby, Tootin will be going ahead of Spears, ETN, Charbonnet, Warren, Javonte, Najee, Mason, Scadaboo, Tracy. I think he'll be going up in like the Isaiah Pacheco range. I think he would jump 3 rounds. So I agree with the sentiment that you have a lot of downside risk, but if the running back depth chart were to change, I think you do have some steam from his price at this point. Yeah, this is a very weird draft. Okay. Loop says, I've been in so many drafts with no badges, and bro, they're wild. Yeah, that's why I definitely would say that the $3 Chihuahua, again, is the draft that I would recommend most people to be getting in. At least most new people on Underdog. Like if you are new to Underdog this year, the $3 draft, 32nd, because I bet you, here's another thought that I randomly had. I bet you if you hopped in a 32nd Underdog draft, it would probably be like a less competitive crowd than the 22nd drafts. I bet you like we're actively doing ourselves a disservice by doing the 22nd timers, because you're probably going up against people who, only people who have done a bunch of these drafts. Where I bet if you go into the 32nd rooms, you probably get an easier crowd to draft against. Just a complete guess, but that would be my guess. Okay. So we will take Eckler. I believe this may be our first draft taking Eckler this year. We took a decent amount of him last season, which actually worked out quite well for us, surprisingly. Do we take Stafford and then go with like a super gross option later on? No, I'd rather just go Richardson. The thing with Richardson is we have the rushing upside that if we don't get a Colt, we could see a spike week come without anybody else in the Colts offense doing anything. And again, of course, I want to reiterate that Richardson is an absolute bomb, right? But we can go back and we can look at last season. And by the way, if you ever wanted to look at any of these like player stats or anything this way, or are a bunch of advanced statistics that you wouldn't be able to see elsewhere, such as like passes inside the 5-yard line, rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line, where if we're looking at Anthony Richardson, while, yeah, he is an absolute bum, you did get 2 pretty big spike weeks with very limited playing time last year, where you had the 26-point week in week 1, 28-point week in week 11. So it is possible to see those spike weeks from Anthony Richardson without getting anybody else in the offense, like Pittman, Tyler Warren, going as well. Okay. John says even the 8-hour clock probably. So I am in some slow drafts on Underdog just because I want to do extra drafts off the live stream, but I don't have as much time. So I do the 8-hour timers. But here's my guess. And we actually got the pound out here. So the pound, let me know your opinion on this. If we are ranking the competition in Underdog drafts, I would say 8-hour timer's the toughest, 20-second timer's the second toughest, 30-second timer the easiest. That would be, and obviously the price point matters as well. But I would say that I think the 8-hour timers may be the toughest, to be honest. Yeah, I am probably going to be mixing in some Anthony Richardson. The thing with Richardson is if he does start this, if he is the starter for the Colts this year, he is one of the best picks in Underdog drafts at the moment. The issue is Daniel Jones may be the starter week 1. The what says he won over 9K on Underdog, 5K for 14th in the Rottweiler. Congrats, my guy. Okay, well, we definitely need another running back here. I know the FSC guys are really in on Giddens. I may end up taking... I think it's going to be a 6 RB team. Wax the Face says, is it worth doing contests if you aren't maxing out? 100%. What kind of question is that? Do we just want to take another rookie? No, I'm going to take Marshawn Lloyd. Feel good about the offense. Feel good about him being the RB2 on that depth chart. So Wax the Face says, is it worth drafting contests if you aren't maxing out the draft limit? Yes, and I couldn't even begin to understand an argument for why it would not be. Again, going right back to what I was talking about at the very top of this live stream. If we're going to be real with each other, nobody, and if anybody on YouTube tells you otherwise, like, I'm one of the very few people that you'll ever come across that has won multiple underdog tournaments. Gotten 16th place in Best Ball Mania. And I'm willing to say that you are not going to be able to get reliably rich and reliably make money in underdog drafts. If you were doing them, you were doing them for fun. In my opinion, it's a ton of fun. And whenever I won those tournaments, it was even more fun. But so there are people who win tournaments all the time that win the puppy, and their only underdog team they've ever drafted was the team they drafted in the puppy. So yes, do not feel like, oh, I'm not going to max enter this tournament, so I'm not going to draft in it at all. That makes literally 0 sense for me. The Pound says, if you're well prepared, there's not much of a difference between 30 and 20-second clocks. Bigger advantage depending on what time of the day you draft, in my opinion. Interesting. I just assume that maybe the easier crowd will be drafting 30-second timers, but I have no idea. John says, I did a BBM at 2 a.m. my time last year. Made the playoffs. TJ says, rip to the Shipley dream. Yeah, rip to the Shipley dream. Easy says, I traded Golden for Olave in a future first. Who wins the deal? Easily the Olave in the future first. Easily. Spicy House says, have any other week 15 through 17 games been announced yet? No, I saw that the opener was announced for the Eagles Cowboys. So it'll be a nice little Danny week to start off. But Strepo off. I'm going to just take the third quarterback. We're going to go Dart. I don't care if we have a stack. We're going to go Dart. Hopefully we advance and hopefully we get a spike from Bo Nix when we need it. But realistically, what that team needed was another quarterback that was live to actually do something with our team weeks 15, 16, 17. Let's get in Best Ball Mania. I did not get to draft on the live stream this weekend, so I'm itching. I was really, really itching for this live stream, to be honest. Let's move this over. $25 buy-in. Yeah, I will say that I think it's annoying and weird. I mean, I get why the NFL does it. Obviously, there's a crowd of people that like to see, oh, this was my team's schedule, blah, blah, blah. But why can't we just get the entire schedule at once? Why are we having to go game by game here? Look at this. We don't have the entire schedule, but the NFL's out here tweeting, oh, we get the Broncos and Chiefs Thursday night on Christmas. Black Friday, ooh, we get Eagles, Bears. Can we just get the entire schedule, please? And pick 10. We'll figure it out. Vinny says, these new player blurbs are amazing. Player X to catch passes from player Y. Let's see, what do we got? Gibbs still in timeshare with David Montgomery. David Montgomery still with the Lions. You don't say. You don't say. So for flockfantasy.com, we recently had to work with like providers and stuff so we can go through and like pull all these advanced stats for y'all. And we're not stopping here. We're going to get a bunch of really cool stuff, not just like target share, yards per route run. We're going to be creating a bunch of cool tools with this. But this stuff costs a lot of money. And one thing that they like they sell you packages. It's like, what do you want? You want the basic stats. You want the advanced stats. You want the sports book lines. You want the player prop lines, blah, blah, blah. One thing that they try to sell you on is like the player blurbs, which is pretty funny. Nice One says the platforms that broadcast those games want the extra publicity for the day, which does make sense. It's just damn annoying. Malik Neighbors looks to remain productive with starting quarterback. I don't know if legally I'm allowed to say how much like paying for those blurbs would cost, which obviously it makes sense for Underdog to do. But they told us, I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen one of those blurbs and thought like, ooh, cool. Really needed this. We got Kale Elliott, always out in the streams with us. Says we got 6th place in the mini schnauzer. Congrats, my guy. But we'll take Neighbors at pick 10. Y'all know CMC is typically who we are wanting in the second round here. We don't get them. No harm, no foul. We'll figure it out with somebody else. Y'all know who I'm probably not taking. We got Kale in this draft with us. Bean Salad says, look at Puka's blurb. Puka's already selected, so I can't pull his up. Henry went, so I wasn't going to take Derrick Henry regardless. But, Brock Bowers remains the leading pass catcher for the Raiders. Thank you, thank you. I wasn't certain of going Bowers at 15, but now that I saw that, I am. And yeah, Gibbs at pick 9 is great. I'd be freaking pumped if I got Gibbs at pick 9. I did not have any strong... So again, I've already showed you all this, but last year, I think if you're looking at the large sample we had, we absolutely crushed with our performance. But a lot of it comes down to obviously what happens in week 17, right? And in week 17, it did not break in our favor. Like, let's see. But our high stakes stuff, we had great advance rates. We advanced 34 BBM teams. We got 1 to the final. We advanced 41 sprint teams as well, which I think is more than anybody else on Underdog last year. So we had great results last season in the regular season and a good enough result to get to the BBM final. But nothing really came from it. Like our BBM final team, I know I've said this 1,000 times, absolutely crap the bed. Okay. Dylan says, how does it feel only having one starting running back? Wouldn't you want a decent floor RB and then go for upside? Are you referring to the last draft? I'm not exactly sure. The one says, I faded Barkley and managed to get lucky. So I faded Henry. I did not fade Barkley. I was like only 4% Derrick Henry though. However, still had incredible advance rates. The one thing that I got lucky with last year for sure, where I don't think we would have been nearly as successful with our advance rates across the board. I don't even know if we would have had a team get to the BBM final, is I did not draft a lot of Rashee Rice. And it looked like early in the season, Rice was going to absolutely bury me. So the Rice injury, honestly, got us a little lucky there. Not going to lie. Chris has faded Kelsey in London, still lost. Bean Sal says, Joe Burrow keeping the band together in Cincinnati. Well, what's cool with not cool, but what's interesting to note with the blurbs for these players on Underdog is obviously right now they don't matter and they're just like, whoever provides them these blurbs are just kind of firing up, right? Just getting started. But let's see what Luke does. This will be interesting. Goes, okay, we'll take Kyron here. I think Kyron's an absolute no-brainer pick at the end of the third. But with the blurbs on Underdog, like even if there's an injury baked into a player's price, what will typically happen is like when we get any type of news regarding that injury and there's that little blurb to take that player, they will fall down boards just because there'll be a little blurb. Somebody will click on it and go like, oh crap. Brandon Ayuk injured. I don't want to take him. And then he will fall down even further. So somebody that I have been taking a ton of, okay, we actually get him, cool, is Xavier Worthy. Like, I need to revisit my rankings. Not only do I need to revisit my rankings, but also I need to revisit the range of outcomes that we have on Worthy from his rookie season, which is actually something that we are working on integrating with the site that I think is going to be super, super cool and a tool that I will personally use absolutely all the time. But yeah, Worthy, round one rookie receiver that had success with the best or arguably the best quarterback in the league. I'm game. Sign me up. But the football therapist says Rice was my most owned receiver. Was a tough injury. Yeah, again, I got very lucky not having a lot of Rashee Rice last year. And honestly, based off Rashee Rice's price this year, again, I want to reiterate, if he's truly good to go week one and there are no suspension concerns and there are no injury concerns, he should be getting selected next to like Drake London. He should be going up there at the beginning of the second round. But I think that there are enough uncertainties where I would personally need a discount to draft him. So I haven't taken a lot of Rashee Rice. So I may be rooting for a Rice suspension. I may need Rice to not play 16, not play 17 if I'm going to have any hope this next season. But of course, if y'all wanted to hop in one of these drafts with us, just make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we actually go live. And if you're not already on Underdog, it's not too late. I would definitely say now's the best time to get on Underdog because they have the $3 drafts. They're best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams every year. I'll keep drafting hundreds of teams every year because I just think it's so much fun. But you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description as well as the comment section. And if you use promo code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll get my 2025 rankings and my 2025 draft guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. But let's move this. John says, Rice is such a hard pick. If he does get suspended 4 games, probably question mark. Yeah, I have no idea what's going to end up happening with Rice. I know I've heard some people say like, oh, he could play football today. Oh, he's not going to get suspended. The court system's not going to play until 2026. Which, if that stuff's true, again, I want to reiterate, if he plays all 16, you very easily can make an argument to take Rashee Rice at the beginning of the second round. But I just personally, for whatever reason, am scared off. Another player I haven't taken a ton of is Harvey. Right or wrong. Like, I would almost rather have Walker than Harvey. And Walker goes right away, which is funny. We're going to take Calvin Ridley. I know we've said this a bunch, but I think if you want the flexibility in these Underdog drafts, decent little idea to have 3 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds. So, and getting Ridley does give us the optionality at another quarterback later, which we are having to keep in mind here. Which I know Addison may be a suspension risk as well. And maybe this is something where I need to just stay in my lane. And obviously, what the hell do I know about the law or NFL suspensions? But I just hear like, oh, Addison fell asleep behind the wheel at the airport, presumably drunk, but not confirmed. Versus Rice was racing down the highway in a supercar, crashed and fled the scene. Like, we'll take Kamara here at 63. I haven't drafted a ton of Kamara. Difficulty with Kamara, of course, is the offense is going to be absolutely horrible, and he's an aging running back. But maybe you say, okay, quarterback's going to have to rely on giving him checkdowns. Famous Kev says, day 8 of asking Mason to test the Coles for redraft. I don't even know what that means, my friend. Kidamori says, I have 0 Harvey right now, but I'll definitely draft the Mans throughout the summer. We'll see where Harvey's ADP ends up. Because like I said, we've seen him go at like the 4 or 5 turn in these, where I would just like prefer Kenneth Walker later, right? But in this draft, clearly Walker goes ahead of him. I definitely think that this is probably a better price point for Harvey if I'm going to take him. The football therapist says, last I saw, it's looking like 2026, maybe the year he's suspended based off Drew Davenport. LC says, I've heard he can put off his suspension until next year. Which, it's something that I need to figure out and I need to look more into. So again, I know people have been speaking that with confidence that he can push off until 2026. But just looked at Rashiras on Twitter. He got some cool workout videos. But again, remember last year, we had the cool workout videos of Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb was complete toast. Rice, much younger player. Okay. Lee says Kamara was a monster in PPR times. Yeah, the issue with Kamara is here, Underdog's going to be half PPR. One thing that may be decent is if you look at Kamara, obviously it's worth pointing out his worst finish ever was the RB14. He's been the RB 9, 11, 14, 7, 1, 8, 3, 1. But if we look at the touchdowns have absolutely fallen off a cliff. 6, 5, 2, 4 over the past 4 seasons. The target share got up to 21% this past season. If somehow like Taysom just goes to 0, which Taysom's probably going to 0, if we're going to be honest with each other. Taysom's Dunskies. And all those Taysom Hill touchdowns go to Kamara. Maybe that's what unlocks a little bit of a higher ceiling from Kamara. But I feel like we are definitely stretching it. Trying to make that argument. Okay. Bean says Addison was high, not drunk. Get it right. I'm sorry. We're going to take Judkins. We've drafted very little Judkins here, but as a first rookie, pick 82. Feel very strong about this. Empty depth chart. Similar issue that you have with Kamara. The dude's just in an absolute busted offense, right? You can maybe make an argument that Kale behind us had 3 running backs and only 2 receivers. So maybe we try to push running back a little bit and get him back over at 87. But honestly, I think we'd just be pushing our luck on that because as well at 87, considering the fact that we have Worthy, Mahomes is for sure going to be in play for us. Anthony says, why is Taysom done? For a couple reasons. One, completely new coaching staff that we have. So it's very hard to look at a player that's used the way that Taysom Hill is and say this is going to translate coaching staff to coaching staff. 2, the man's about to be 35 years old. So I don't know how confident you can be that the Taysom role remains the same and Kamara doesn't get those touchdowns. Which keep in mind, I haven't taken much Kamara. I'm trying to make an argument for Kamara in this draft. We're going to take Patrick Mahomes here. We have Xavier Worthy. It's a stupid, simple pick, right? And with Mahomes, the hope is all of a sudden you actually have a reason for them to throw the ball again. As we can all look at the Mahomes passing volume over the past few seasons. Like, games with 40 passing attempts this past year. You had 1, 2, 3, 4. Going back to 2023, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But beyond this, you can look at some of these seasons, like in 2021, you're looking at Mahomes having a couple games with 50 plus passing attempts. You can go over and look at the passing volume for Mahomes in the past. The man's had seasons with 50 passing touchdowns, 41 passing touchdowns, 5,200 passing yards. You go back to 2022, he was the quarterback one in fantasy with 417 points scored, 5,200 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns. Now, again, is that the most likely outcome this year? No, but I think we have to address that it's in the range of outcomes. There's a non-0% chance that all of a sudden they go, well, you know what? Worthy takes a massive step forward in year 2. Rashee Rice is good to go. Maybe this is the best skill position group that Mahomes had in a while. Running backs aren't great. Let's actually pivot back over and let's be a passing first team. Yeah, Taysom obviously coming off the significant injury as well. 35-year-old off significant injury. I think Taysom's done. John says, was Devin Neal a goal line back in college? I believe Devin Neal was just a 3-down running back. Like, Devin Neal had pretty much every touch you can imagine, right? God, I needed more water for the stream. Let's move this over. So Kelsey will obviously be in play for us here when we have Mahomes. Definitely not a player that we need to be going with, considering the fact that we have Bowers. Our only receivers are Neighbors, Worthy, and Ridley, so we're definitely looking at wide receiver if we can get a reasonable one here at 106. Tracy off 103. I don't want to say too much, right? Because obviously people in this draft may be in the stream, but for us selfishly, let's keep things to the vest for now. Kelsey goes. So not a big Trey Harris guy. If you go through and look at these streams, we have not taken much of them. But again, the main thing is we just need wide receiver points. We only have 3 guys through the first 8 rounds. We're pretty damn strong at running back with the combo of Kyron, Kamara, Judkins. We have Mahomes at quarterback. We have Bowers at tight end as well. So we'll take Trey Harris, 106. Crazy production numbers, specifically with the efficiency in college. Also, super old players, so maybe you make an argument from a dynasty perspective. Doesn't bode well for historical hit rates, but for a redraft perspective, maybe he can be quote-unquote pro-ready. Purdy, we have no stacking options. We'll just take Najee. Take Najee and go, does he give us some running back points at the beginning of the season and Judkins carries us down the stretch? And then this is death row here. This is the issue. We should have just friggin' taken Sheed. We're going to get on the clock here and 18 picks at about 1:30. And this is going to be the ADP we're looking at. I haven't filtered out wide receivers. There are just no wide receivers at all in rounds 11 and 12. Football therapist says could go Ingram in week 17 for the correlation. I have Bowers, my friend. Not too concerned about that. So yeah, what I'm mainly concerned about at this point is there a way we can get enough wide receiver production? Because we know we're not taking wide receiver at 1:30. We know we're not taking wide receiver in round 12. Chris says, Walker always hurt. Charbonnet, the best insurance in the league. Yeah, so y'all know, I mean, the second that Walker goes down, I am always having to stay in the redraft streams. Like, oh, Charbonnet must start running back. Charbonnet must start running back. Get him in, get him in, get him in. But if we look at this from Kenneth Walker, you had 2 usable Charbonnet weeks early in the season, then weeks 14, 15, right? So with Walker last year, you had 4 usable weeks from Charbonnet. Walker in 2023 was injured 2 weeks. Walker in 2022 was injured 2 weeks. So what we've seen so far through his NFL career is you have 2 to 4 weeks a season, which you may end up getting from Najee. Naeem says Walker was trash last year. Walker through the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games of the season had 4 top 10 RB weeks. I think it's tough to say Walker was trash, to be honest. Tanner says, I keep throwing money at Keenan Allen hoping he gets signed. If you look at Keenan actually performed very well. I mean, he was a bear I did not draft much of last season, but he was a great underdog pick specifically. At least it felt that way. Pulling this up, finishes as the wide receiver 33. I mean, looking at the weeks we have, 29-point week, 20-point week, 24, 23, 21. So you get 5 pretty big spike weeks from Keenan. For where he was going last year, yeah, obviously Keenan crushed. Let's look at who's available to us here. Goff. Not so much. Freaking. I don't want to take any of these guys. Not a. We're going to take Kyle Williams. Not excited about it at all. There's no way in hell you can get me to take Christian Kirk here. Looking at our quarterback stacks, we don't really have any. Maybe we make an argument. We just go Goff 135, get the points to advance, and expect Mahomes to give us the spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17. Love no stacks. Stroud no stacks. Do Spears is our last running back. We're going to go Goff and then just go with the disgusting pick late. I don't even know if we can actually go with. I mean, we can. But with Isaac Tesla, do I really want to add a 4th rookie to this team when 2 of the wide receivers are Trey Harris and Kyle Williams? We'll go Goff, hopefully getting some advancement help here. And hopefully we get a Mahomes nuclear 3-week stretch in weeks 15, 16, 17. Because we know Goff's clearly not going to have any spike week upside if it doesn't come from, or maybe we get a spike week with Laporta. But we also have it come from Geno at the same. I'm sorry, we also have it come from Bowers at the same time. Okay. And I guess we have the NBA lottery tonight too, which is interesting. Looks like the Mavs got the number 1 pick. Vinny telling us to reach for the big Q. Famous says, who are your most drafted quarterbacks so far? I don't think we've done enough Best Ball Mania drafts to really say in BBM specifically. I can let you know in all the tournaments we've done on the stream. I'm in some slow drafts now as well, but the only drafts that I've completed on the live stream are the drafts that... I'm sorry, the only drafts I've completed for Underdog at this point are the drafts I've done on stream. My most drafted quarterbacks are Penix, Richardson, Herbert, McCarthy, Purdy, Darnold. So not super exciting. Yeah, I saw LeBron tweeted out a bunch of laughing emojis, essentially indicating, which probably is true. Like, here's my thought process. And this is going to sound really, really dumb, but if you were going to rig something, the easiest way to do it is to make it a lottery. So, wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. But let's move this over. We are probably done at quarterback. Cedric Tillman goes 151. And, of course, hit that like button if y'all have not done so already. If we hit 250 likes, we will be getting in another draft after this one. Okay. Kyle Pitts goes... If we take a running back here, it's our last running back of the draft. And yeah, we'll make Ray Davis, the RB2 in Buffalo, the last RB pick of our team. We are just wide receiver and tight end through the rest of this. Lee says, Goff had a couple crazy spike weeks last year, which I think Goff definitely can, right? Like, nothing against Goff himself, but the reason I'm not excited about Goff here as a pick is not because he can't have spike weeks. Which you look last season, you get a 41-point week in week 15, a 34-point week in week 11, 25-27 in weeks 4 and 6. But if we were to look at each one of those weeks, I can almost guarantee you that they're going to coincide a pretty big week from... We just have to chase wide receiver here. We're going to go Romeo Doubs and say, what if the Packers have to start throwing the ball? What if the rookies that they bring in don't have massive roles? But yeah, the big issue with Goff for our team in particular is if you look at when the spikes come, they probably come at the same time you get a spike from Amon-Ra St. Brown. They probably come at the same time you get a spike from Sam Laporta, a spike from Jamison Williams, a spike from Jahmyr Gibbs. So for us to have Goff without any of those names, I guess we can hope that Goff gives you a massive week and it's spread out across everybody. We can maybe hope that, but it's just unrealistic, right? Braylon Allen goes 164. So for us at this point, it is a great thing. And I mean, it is a great thing to see running backs off the board. Okay. Yeah, they probably rigged LeBron's draft to get him to Cleveland. I would not deny that. Tanner says, I think Keenan to the Steelers with Rodgers slinging it. Well, we got Keenan off the board at 168. Do we have any rumors with Keenan? Tom says, didn't realize I'm going to draft with you in at 5. Well, thank you for coming by the live stream, my friend. Let me see if we can find anything with Keenan Allen. My thing with all these like free agents like Chubb, Keenan, Dobbins, I just kind of assume that we would get these guys beginning to sign right after the NFL draft. Okay. Look at this is so funny. And I'll pull this up in 1 second. I don't even know if we should. Maybe we go ahead and take a third quarterback with this team. Take Cam Ward and say, oh, we're going to get the spike when we need it. Blah, blah, blah. We'll figure this out. So we have 4 picks left. We only need 1 more tight end. and we get to take 3 more receivers. You know what? F it. But the teams after us, Lamar, Geno, no Titans. So we're actually not going to take Cam Ward here just because the teams after us won't. And we can think about it a little bit longer. Let's take Wan'Dale Robinson. So we know we only need 1 more tight end. This team, what we need is we need Bowers to go nuclear. Like Bowers, you have to be the tight end 1 by a country mile for our team to have any hope. Beyond that, if we have 9 receivers with Neighbors, Worthy, Ridley, Harris, Kyle Williams, Romeo Doubs, Wan'Dale, and 2 extra names. Actually, we would only get 1 extra name if we take Cam Ward, because we have to obviously take at least 1 more tight end. Elliott goes. Do we just take Cam Ward 183? Cam Ward goes to Kale. So we are maybe safe from ourselves here. We're going to take Michael Wilson 183 instead. Because again, I mean, we are just having to try to play catch up here at wide receiver. Our three top receivers are okay with Neighbors, Worthy, Ridley. It's just we have such a significant fall off after that. It's where it gets ugly. But I know we were talking about the Keenan Allen conversation. I was searching on Twitter to see if we have any relevant news. And it is funny when you see like some NFL fans are just so delusional. Like I saw this person tweet out, trade Calvin Austin for a 2026 third. Sign Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. Steelers would have 14 picks in the 2026 draft. Today we cook. Like seeing somebody think that you would ever be able to trade Calvin Austin for a 3rd round pick in the NFL. It's hilarious. NFL fans specifically around their own teams are hilarious. Okay. Let's move this. Yeah, I mean, maybe Jerry Jones. Famous Kev says, Mason, what's your opinion on chili cheese fries? Not a big fan. I'm a big fan of. So one of my favorite foods ever was, playing baseball growing up. Like, you know, your parents, like at least for how it was where I grew up. Like 1 weekend a year, you would have to get signed up to work concessions. And we'd be able to make these, like, you know, like the nacho cheese that comes in the bag, this like the Rico cheese chips. We'd make cheese fries like that, where you'd get like the baseball field fries and throw like the nacho cheese on them. Those are delicious, but I don't necessarily think you need chili on them. I've only had poutine once, and poutine was garbage. I don't want to say garbage. Poor choice of words. But I would have much preferred to have what I just discussed. I would have much preferred just to have melted cheese on fries than poutine. Or like Chick-fil-A sauce. If you would throw some Chick-fil-A sauce on fries, I'd be much happier with it than poutine. Okay. Let's see. Chili dog. Here's a hot take that I will have. And I will stand by this one. I'm not going to back down from this one. So first, little backstory. Growing up, the only thing that I ate as a kid were hot dogs, chicken nuggets, fish sticks. The only thing I ate. I would cycle between those 3. That was my food pyramid. Hot dogs, chicken nuggets, and fish sticks. So Kate Otten was somebody we took a bunch of last year. I don't like him as much this season, primarily because the addition of Igbuka, I think, actually does hurt his own target share, even if you're looking at a wide receiver 3 instead. And then we're going to get in another draft after this one. Don't worry. I think we probably throw in. Do we get another receiver or do we go quarterback? Well, you know what we may actually do? We may go Jackson Dart. We have Neighbors. We have Wan'Dale. Maybe, or do we just get another receiver? You know you're going to need wide receiver points, Mason. Don't be an idiot. And I didn't even get, why the hell did I queue up Terrence Ferguson? We'll take Isaac Tesla. I think Tesla's a bum, but we took Jared Goff. We're relying on Mahomes points anyway. I think we probably have too many rookies. I like the draft overall. I like it overall. I just don't like how many rookie wide receivers that we have. Specifically, not the top end guys. But wide receiver, we have Neighbors, Worthy, Ridley, Trey Harris, Kyle Williams, Dobbs, Wandale, Michael Wilson, Isaac Tesla. Tight end, we have the elite tight end with Bowers. Then we have Cade Otton. Running back, we have Kyron, Kamara, Judkins, Najee, Ray Davis. Quarterback, we have Mahomes stacked up with Worthy. And we have Goff stacked up with Isaac Tesla, which I do not feel great about. Okay. But let's move this over and let's get another Best Ball Mania going. I've told y'all this already, but I actually do like the fact that we're not streaming every weekend these drafts right now. We maybe will end up streaming them again when we get back to Texas. But it was nice because like all day today I was thinking like, oh, I want to get to the live stream. Where when I've told y'all, if I'm like on day 200 of the live stream, I'm thinking the exact opposite. If I've streamed 200 days straight, I'm like, oh, I need to live stream in 45 minutes and I'm all looking forward to it. But today I was legitimately looking forward to the stream, so that's nice. But what was I talking about? Okay, yeah. I was talking about how I've only eaten growing up, I only ate hot dogs, chicken nuggets, and fish sticks. Maybe it's because I got burnt out of them because that's the only thing I ate when I was 3 years old. But now I would never be able to eat a hot dog. Like, I love sausage. Like, real bratwurst, amazing. Sign me up. But I've seen the videos of how they make hot dogs, and I'm like, I can't eat that. I can't put that in my body. Same thing with like the chicken nuggets. I love fried chicken, specifically like Chick-fil-A fried chicken. Like if it's like strips, like real meat, love it. If it's the spongy stuff, I can't do it anymore. But yeah, I can't do a chili cheese dog. I can do a chili cheese sausage. I'd be down for that. The what in here at 5, Derek in here at 3, Texan at 12. Jimmy says he's in a puppy. Y'all, he needs 5 more. Loop wants to steal our money, and yes, I love sausage. I know y'all want to clip that. Kalbasa like the beef sausage, I think, which yes is good. We will take Mr. Justin Jefferson. I was taking Lamb ahead of Jefferson before the Pickens trade, but now I think it's a safe call to just take Jefferson. Let's see. I'll get the sports coat look going. Don't y'all worry. Kerjoss says, almost a year since a post on the Mason Dodd channel. Any chance you could tell him to upload more, Mr. Flock? Thank you. Thank you. I've been thinking about doing something in regards of the 100-mile race for that channel. But yeah, it looks like the last time I uploaded was right before Nice. Which maybe we'll get something cooking. Maybe we will. Okay. So after we go Jefferson, looks like I don't want to say a super standard draft because you do have a Monroe St. Brown in here at 7. Okay. CMC Bowers to the same squad. We have Henry off at 14. HN goes 16. The thing with Henry, with me not drafting him in round 2 this year, again, I only had 4% Derrick Henry last season. Probably our worst call was Jacobs over Henry. I thought it was so smart saying that. So Taylor goes. Who the hell do we want? We're going to take Bucky. We may try something a little bit different here, which I'm excited about. I completely forgot what I was saying. Can someone in the chat remind me what I was saying? Oh, yeah, the thing with me not drafting Derrick Henry right now is I don't know if it's I got burnt from Henry last year. So I'm afraid that if I go in, draft him at a higher price tag when he's another year older, chasing the points from last season, if this is the 31-year-old fall off, it's going to make me feel 10 times worse. Okay. Terry McLaurin off. So, yeah, we're going to try something a little bit fun here. We are going to try to go with the anchor wide receiver with Jefferson, followed up with two young backs that showed a lot down the stretch with the combination of Bucky and Chase Brown. Raphael says no one thinks Henry's a good pick. Nobody thought Henry was a good pick last year. That made YouTube videos. A lot of people in the comment section thought Derrick Henry was a good pick. And yet again, the people who make content, including myself, were dead wrong. And the people in the comment section were 100% right. Which happens very, very often. Very, very often. Tanner says, I go Ginty, McCaffrey, Henry at the 1-2 turn a lot. I take CMC. I'm completely fine taking Ginty where he goes. I actively target CMC in round 2 as well. Henry's the only guy out of that group that I don't take a ton. Famous Kev says, I like Bucky and Chase, but I can't help to feel like we're lightning in a bottle last season, especially Bucky losing Cohen. My thing is I think both running backs are going to catch the ball, and I think both the running backs are going to be good offenses. Like, we look at Bucky, it may be the situation from, say, Miami last year, where, of course, we should expect that the efficiency comes down, but he only had 43% of the carries for Tampa. This carry rate's going to go up dramatically. Like, you compare this to Rachaad White. Rachaad White had 35%. Who the hell had the carries in this offense? What did Sean Tucker have? Tucker had 15%. I guess it was just split into 3 ways in that case. But I would expect Bucky Irving to have more than 43% of the carries this next season. I'd expect Bucky Irving to have more than 9.2% of the targets. So I think the efficiency may come down, but if the volume goes up, particularly as a receiver, I think he could be set up to crush regardless. Crazy to see Metcalf rising this much. Jameson goes, I want a receiver here, but I probably prefer Sutton over Metcalf. At least taking Sutton gives us an option to go Bo Nix later. I'm going to take Sutton at 45. Caleb says, would you go Bucky or Trevion in a startup? I would rather have Bucky. TJ says, Henry got up to minus 220 and higher for an anytime touchdown. Yeah, I mean, if Derrick Henry repeats what he did last season, he is an absolute smash pick in round 2. Nobody's denying that. The question is, can Derrick Henry repeat what he did last season at 31 years old? He finishes the RB4, playing all 17 games. Obviously, from a per-game perspective, maybe a little bit worse. But let me look this up. Running back, active leaders, career touches. Pickens goes 50. How is Kale in every single draft with us? And why do I have to pick next to him in every single freaking draft? Okay. I guess we'll take Hampton. It's going to be a very weird start. I haven't drafted a ton of Hampton just because I think maybe he's a little bit cheaper by the time we get to August. But round 1 pick, offensive wants to run the ball, size to be a 3-down player. Not only the size to be a 3-down player, but great receiving skill set, good quarterback, good coach, good offensive line. Looks to be in a really good spot. So running backs with the most active career touches, we have Derrick Henry at 2,500. Then a significant drop to Joe Mixon Kamara at 2,100. Then another drop to CMC Barkley at Jacobs at 18. Like Derrick Henry is at the very top of the NFL at this point with total career touches. Which, of course, Derrick Henry's built different. Let me see. Most career touches all time. NFL. God dang, running backs used to just be wildly different. Derrick Henry's 35 on this list. How much higher could Henry realistically get? Sorry, this is probably about the blind, y'all. Derrick Henry's 35. Realistically, he gets 300 this next season. That jumps him up to 25, 26. Say he gets another 200 the year after. He can get to 3,100-ish career touches. He'll probably finish as like a top 20 running back in career touches all time. No, let's move this over. James Conner goes 66. Laporta goes 67. We're playing catch up a wide receiver at this point. We only have Jefferson and Sutton, right? So taking Olave here. One, he's on the thumbnail. Kind of a no-brainer. Issue is taking wide receivers in bad offenses historically is a very bad bet. It'd be tough to make an argument that the Saints are a good offense at this point. But I'd almost say the same thing about the Steelers and Metcalf, where Metcalf goes 15 picks earlier. Loop says, maybe I'm biased because I got to watch Prime Henry, but he's a top 3 all-time back for me. Running backs that I have watched. Started playing fantasy football probably in about 2007, 8, 9, sometime around then. Let me look at my first time ever winning my fantasy football league was the Nick Foles season with Chip Kelly and the Eagles. What season was that? That was 2013. So yeah, my first time playing fantasy football was probably like 2009-ish. And we're just going to take Rome Odunze again. We're playing catch up at wide receiver. Taking Rome here, 1, significantly past ADP feels pretty good. And 2, at the same time, does give us that potential stack of going with Caleb and going soon. But I didn't start like really, really obsessing about the NFL and fantasy football until 2014. That is when I joined my first dynasty league. And that's when I was in 20 plus leagues year round. So best running backs that I've seen since 2014. I'll see the rushing leader since 2014. I would say Barkley. I think all time looking back on it, I will view as a better running back than Derrick Henry because what he can do as a receiver. I would say the same thing about McCaffrey. Henry just had the longevity that Zeke didn't. Obviously, Henry doesn't do much early in his career the way that Zeke does, but it's almost flipped. But of course, you can say Adrian Peterson. However, Rec, happy to see us. This happy Monday, Mason. Been a while since I made the stream. Who are you higher on for this season at running back, JT or Kyron? So I think JT is a much better running back. I think Kyron's in a better offense, and Kyron should have more receiving volume. Jonathan Taylor is consistently going ahead of Kyron in these underdog drafts, but I think part of that is due to Taylor giving you a ton of production in week 16 and 17 last year, and underdog drafters typically rewarding that too much, in my opinion. I think we take Hawkinson, pair him up with Jefferson, and give ourselves the double stack option with McCarthy. But I would probably put JT ahead of Kyron. I think that they are very close. I think they're much closer in reality than they are in underdog drafts, especially if you're playing in a full PPR format. Because if you're going to look at the receiving involvement from Kyron versus Jonathan Taylor, especially when you have Anthony Richardson under center, we should expect that you just get more targets in the direction of Kyron Williams. Like Kyron Williams last season, you get 40 targets, 32 receptions. Looking at Jonathan Taylor, it's going to be a little bit inflated. He had 18 receptions only, 136 receiving yards. And again, that's a little inflated because it's not like you had Anthony Richardson as your starting quarterback the entire season. TJ says Adrian Peterson, #1 by a landslide. Loop says, I couldn't imagine ever taking CMC over Henry if I had to make a real football team. For me, I just think throwing the football is so much more efficient than running it. So that's why typically I would go with the guys that can catch the ball, such as CMC and Barkley. But obviously, I have no idea. Bo Nix goes 97, which honestly may be a... I'm not going to say it's a good thing for us. We had Sutton, so we obviously had the play to go Bo Nix if we did not get Caleb. But I was going to say, once we see a team here at the turn decide to pass on Luther Burden, there was a concern that there was going to be a team at like 96 to go Luther Burden and Caleb Williams together. But we now get Caleb Williams at pick 100 to pair up Caleb with Mr. Rome Odunze. And I really like this team. Started it very weird with 3 running backs the first 5 rounds. And yeah, Sutton is definitely one of my most drafted wide receivers at this point. But looking at this wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Sutton, Olave, Rome Odunze. Running back, we have Bucky, Chase Brown, Hampton. Tight end, we have Hawkinson. Quarterback, we have Caleb. I do not feel weak at a single position here with this team. Like, I think we got very lucky to have Olave fall to us where he did. I think we got very lucky to have Rome fall to us where he did. I think we got very lucky to have Hampton fall to us where he did. Alejandro says he doesn't like the team. I honestly freaking love the team. But, of course, Chris says, where do you find all these leagues to join? This is Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts. So how it works is you actually don't submit your starting lineup at the end of every single week. That's automatically done for you. So if I draft somebody like Quentin Johnston at the very end of the draft and he randomly scores 2 touchdowns, he will slide into my starting lineup for that week. That's how you're able to draft hundreds of teams. And there's also no waiver wire. So you're going to be drafting a ridiculous amount of players here. Guys that are extremely gross. Like in the last draft, I drafted freaking Isaac Tesla. But since they're best ball, it allows you to draft hundreds of teams every year. At least I do. I mean, and also you can just get in a couple if you want. And you can still focus it on your main fantasy football league during the season. But I have a link in the chats that says draft with us here. And I have a link in the description as well as the comment section. And if you use promo code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get my 2025 rankings and draft guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in pretty much every state. You can see the map here to see if it's available in your states. Let's move this over. Okay. Ooh, crap. We're going to take Loveland. We took Caleb, right? So setting ourselves up with the Rome Odunze, Loveland, Caleb double stacks, pretty damn nice. I would say at this point, we're probably still chasing wide receiver points, but we're going to be done drafting tight ends after taking Loveland as our second option there. So we'll see. Loop says, wow, I just realized Garrett Wilson's the only Jet getting picked. This can't be real. It isn't real. I'll show you the Jets getting picked. I don't want to take Kyle Williams. Herbert, May, we don't have stacks. Can't take a tight ends. Would we rather? No. May's just so much of a better receiver. I mean, quarterback. And Kyle Williams doesn't have a ton of target competition. So we will go Kyle Williams 124. I don't love it. Is there a second draft going Kyle Williams today? And definitely not a big fan. Oh, yeah, but let me show real quick. There are Jets getting drafted for sure. Not named Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Justin Fields, Braylon Allen, Mason Taylor are all getting drafted. In terms of wide receiver 2s in New York, not so much. D, I'm doing these drafts every night. Destin says, what does your gut tell you about Travis Hunter? Set Laporta and Cook for him in a second, but I also have Hawk. I have no idea. My gut tells me, based off what everybody has said going into this season, if he does end up playing... If he does end up playing full-time wide receiver pretty damn close to it, I think he absolutely crushes. But I have never seen anybody with the Travis Hunter profile come in. So I don't have any historical examples that we can look back on. At least not since like the year 2014, which is typically my time frame. Okay. Rashad White goes 132. McCarthy 133 to the Addison team. Does suck for us. We have Jefferson. We have Hawkinson, so it would have been nice to get McCarthy, but it is what it is. Rex says Travis is a trap. We'll see. We'll see. Penix goes 137. So looking at quarterbacks that are available to us, we really don't have anything anytime soon. And we don't really have any stacking options for the late rounds. So that may be something we need to consider here. Kyle Pitts goes 139. We're done drafting tight ends when we have Hawkinson and Loveland. We are just quarterback, running back, receiver. And it looks like there are no quarterbacks anytime soon. We're going to take Jack Besh because we kind of need another quarterback option late. Us taking him here gives us the optionality to go with Geno Smith in a couple rounds. Balls Live says, Njoku is your tight end 1 in round 12. Feels great. I definitely agree with that. You know, I'm never going to argue against somebody taking Njoku. Okay. Spears goes 144. The big Q off 145. Goddard goes 146. I would say at this point where we're sitting with 4 rookies on this team, I probably don't want to be taking any more, to be honest. Right or wrong. So Jalen Noel wasn't even in our wheelhouse, but I'm completely fine taking Benson here. I think Benson we can pencil out as the RB2 in Arizona. James Conner managed to stay healthy all year last year. Thank you for helping me in the Flock League, my friend. But realistically, we do have the long history of James Conner's injuries. And Benson could profile to be a 3-down running back if he were to come in. Like, that was the first year of Connor's NFL career of playing 16 games. Which is an interesting note. John says best price for Pitts of all time. It is the best Kyle Pitts price of all time. But to be fair, it's Kyle Pitts arguably coming off of one of his worst seasons of all time. 13.7% team target share. Raphael, I'm going to make a video talking about my favorite picks in every underdog draft. I'm just waiting until I get enough drafts under my belt. Like, I think this is our third week of drafting. So maybe we do it at the end of this week. We'll see. Okay. We are just quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Adam Thielen goes 163. Hunter Henry goes. So we're going to take Geno Smith. Again, we need some help at quarterback. We took Jack Besh specifically so we could get some Geno points in here at 165. Ash Material says, have you done a dynasty draft? Yeah, I actually started on YouTube doing dynasty stuff. Like, dynasty consumed my life from about 2014. And this past few years, obviously still love dynasty. Never will not love dynasty. It was my first true love. But now I've been getting more into mixing things in with best ball and redraft. But like, if you go back to what stuff I was making on YouTube in 2019, 2020, whenever I just started, I went years only making dynasty stuff. Because I only played dynasty in like 2019. We're going to take Anthony Rich as well. I know we've taken a decent amount of A-Rich. And again, I want to reiterate, if Daniel Jones is the starter week 1, which is 100% a possibility, we could be getting absolutely crushed here. Similar to us taking a decent amount of Trey Lance. But if we're looking at quarterbacks with rushing upside, if you were to somehow get 17 games played from Anthony Richardson, he is the best pick in underdog drafts at this price. Okay. Let's move this over. We need some more tight ends off. Jimmy says, why not grab Jones last pick? So here's the thought process between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. If Daniel Jones, if you told me today, Mason Daniel Jones starts 10 games and Anthony Richardson starts 7, where do you draft these guys? I go, if Daniel Jones, I probably don't draft either. But if you made me pick one, I would rather have 7 Anthony Richardson starts in best ball than 10 Daniel Jones starts. Just because Daniel Jones starting, I don't know if he ever even hits my lineup. It may not, frankly, it may not matter at all. Where Anthony Richardson starting, he has a very real shot to be live for a spike week, just given the rushing upside, which is what we've seen from him so far. Okay. Demario Douglas off. Again, we would only take one more running back with this team. Probably not wanting to draft any more rookies, having Hampton, Kyle Williams, Besh, and Loveland. Schultz goes 187. If Dallas signed Dobbins, where does Dobbins end up getting drafted? We'll take Dobbins and call it a day. The thing is, yeah, again, if Dallas signs Dobbins tomorrow, Dobbins probably moves to the range of the draft that he moves ahead of Bigsby, Benson, Spears, Grindo, Blue, Rashad White, Ramadre. Probably moves up to being a round 10 pick. C Money says Dobbins gets $3.2 million July 22nd if he isn't signed from the Chargers. Is that true? So I don't know if anybody's paying Dobbins $3.22 million regardless. We will just go ahead and we'll take Jalen Coker. We just need bites of the apple when it comes to wide receiver. We have the anchor wide receiver holding us down with Jefferson and some mid wide receiver 2-3 options with like Sutton, Olave, Rome. But beyond that, our wide receiver depth's absolute crap. Okay. But I think we'll probably just queue up some wide receivers for round 18 here and then call it a day. Actually, we need to queue up Adonai Mitchell as our top guy because we have Anthony Richardson unstacked at the moment. If we whiff on him, no big deal, just given the fact that, again, we're banking on the rushing upside there regardless. But let me show off this team. Again, really do appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I actually really like this team, to be completely honest. But running back, we have Bucky, Chase Brown, Hampton, Benson, Dobbins. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Sutton, Olave, Rome, Kyle Williams, Jack Besh, Coker, and we're going to grab another guy. Tight end, we have Hawkinson, Loveland. Quarterback, we have Caleb, Geno, Richardson. But really do appreciate y'all hanging out with me, of course. And again, if y'all wanted to hop in any of these drafts, whether that's with me on live stream or just anytime you want, they're always firing on Underdog Fantasy. The link is in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK will give you that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll get our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. They're best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I draft hundreds of teams every year without taking away from the teams I care most about. But I really do appreciate y'all hanging out with me, and I think we are going to get Adonai Mitchell here. We will take him, and we have way too much Adonai Mitchell at this point, but it is what it is. Hook 'em Morns. Appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.